Alright, Jessica, let's take a look at your paper. MLA format first. This needs to be Times New Roman, so you want to change that. This is all correct. This date should be closer to the due date, and it should go first. So it'll be like 23 November 2016, no punctuation whatsoever. You got a space that doesn't need to be here. This is straight up the topic, so not a really creative title there, so you're going to want to fix that too. Alright, so you start with mental illness. Now, you don't need to capitalize the I there. It's a lifelong disease that contains multiple chronic disorders, which sounds like you got it from a website, so I'm not sure where you got that from. Then you have a quote, but your quote is from quotes about mental health conditions. Now, if I go down to your Works Cited page, I'm not exactly sure which one that is because you don't list that. So that's not part of your Works Cited page, and it sounds like it's not from a reliable source either, so be careful of that. You have punctuation error here. You got a period here, but you have a period here. The period goes after the parentheses, so you got to get rid of that right there. After multiple researches, so basically all you have to, dive into the topic. You don't have to maybe list necessarily this part, but you just say that Macbeth, from the play Macbeth by William Shakespeare, suffers from such a disease known as paranoia schizophrenia, something like that. You got punctuation here. You don't need commas here, commas here. The comma will actually, you don't need to put quotes around this, so you can get rid of the quotes. So you talk about the symptoms. Delusional thinking or beliefs, distorted thinking. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Confusion in the mind, and lastly, hallucinations. So those are your three topics. Because of these symptoms, Macbeth turned into something that he was not. I'd love to be a little bit more specific than that because I have a feeling you're not going to be able to dive too far into it once you get to your body paragraphs. Alright, so your first one is about hallucinations. Again, you don't need to capitalize hallucinations here. So a lot of this, you wait till down here to give your citation, but I think you certainly need it earlier. I think some of these things, maybe right there, is where you would need them. Wrong use of a semicolon. In fact, I don't even think you need that death thing. I think hallucinations caused after any terrible tragedy. I don't think it has to be death, maybe, necessarily. And terrible tragedy kind of points towards death anyway, so I don't even know if that's necessary. I'm not sure how hallucinations could better your life. And it's not really applicable to the paper anyway, so I think you can probably just get rid of that too. Here's the other thing. Sorry, I didn't mention this earlier. Macbeth traditionally doesn't have the capital B there, so more like that all the time. So try to write it with just like that most of the time. Now, you say he kept seeing a strange dagger floating in the air. Well, I only saw it once, right before he killed Duncan. And in the play, it doesn't disappear and come back. So just keep that in mind. So it's pointing towards Duncan's chamber. That led him to Duncan's room. Then you go on to Banquo's ghost. Start seeing sightings of Banquo's ghost. Face all bloodied up and horrid. I like the horrid one. And no comma there. And started having freak out moments. Now here's a slight tone change. A little bit different tone than previous, so it's almost a little too informal right there, so be careful with that. So you have, again, comma error here. Remember, when you have comma conjunction, it has to be two complete sentences on either side, and this is not a complete sentence, so be careful there. Now, I talked to you about your thesis statement, that if you don't have a strong thesis statement, you're not going to have much to say in your body, and that's exactly true. All you can say at the end here is that this was a symptom, it caused him to go insane, and dug him down deeper until he's no longer able to get out of his hole he was digging himself in. But I don't know if it's just that symptom that digs him into that hole. So I'd be careful on that. This is also another thing. I don't know what you mean. These hallucinations that Macbeth had caused him insanity, not only him, but everyone else, to not only him. So his symptoms caused other people to go insane. I'm not sure how that works. If you're thinking of Lady Macbeth, but you'd have to be very, very specific on that. You need a transition statement. I know you're trying to use transitional words here. Moreover, these transitional words here at the beginning, I know you used up here, meanwhile, they don't really work at the beginning. I know you're trying to use transitional phrases, but it just doesn't work right here. The next symptom discovered is negative symptoms, which is defined as someone who gives up, no comma, and decides not to go through the plans they first had set. So in your introduction, I'm not exactly sure. Is this distorted thinking? Is this confusion in the mind? I'm not exactly sure what this main point is. So make sure you're clear in that topic sentence. So I'm still not sure what negative symptoms are, because you keep coming back to that term of negative symptoms. So be careful how you define this symptom. Not only that, no comma, but a negative symptom includes someone who tends to lose relationships with close acquaintances, no comma, or loved ones due to the fact that they turn against them, no comma, or abandon them. And you got space issues here, you got punctuation issues here, so you'll fix all those. Now, you say that he ditched his wife, and later on, he doesn't care because he got what he wanted. So, I guess you could kind of say he ditched her after he became king, which this is certainly true. He turned against everyone, even his own wife. Now, I think that's relatively true, although there's some semantics in there that you could get. He backstabbed his close friends and murdered them. Macbeth got tired of his wife telling him what to do and controlling his life. He didn't have one care to her being murdered because he got what he wanted. And again, I don't know if that's really his intention, that, oh, I got what I wanted, I don't care that she's sick. I would have a hard time believing that. Now, the reason that maybe you're having a hard time backing this up with these first two paragraphs is I don't see one quote at all from the play. Where's your quotes from the play to back up what you're trying to say? And if you can find a quote from the play to back that up, then you're on the right track. But if not, it's hard to justify some of these things. All right, so now you're getting into cognitive. And when you go back to your main points, hallucinations are supposed to be last, but you will put it first. So delusional thinking, distorted thinking, confusion, and hallucinations. So again, at the beginning, you need to be a lot more clear what your actual main points are going to be. Okay. All right. Lastly, cognitive, a symptom that causes one psychoticness, confusion. So problems with punctuation here. I would just say cognitive, which again, I don't even know what cognitive symptoms are, but cognitive symptoms cause psychoticness, comma, such as confusion or trouble organizing thoughts, something like that. Because you have commas here you don't need, you have a semicolon that doesn't make sense, so fix all that. Cognitive causes, which will be cognitive symptoms, cause strange movements and carelessness. Get rid of that punctuation mark. They will more than likely have schizophrenia. The way of his acting after he became king, he became crazy, psychotic. So again, tone is off. When all the power was given to him, when he also became exceedingly careless, when his wife came down with a sickness. How does careless have to do with her sickness? I'm not sure how that connection is made. He decided that he would much rather cure Scotland's disease than be there for her. But again, no quotes from the play, no look back at how this makes sense with this. Your thesis statement is weak, so we don't have much to talk about, so on and so forth. For your conclusionary paragraph, do not say in conclusion or to conclude. Get rid of that. Just start with your restatement of your thesis. Who had 3 symptoms that led to his horrid downfall. Get rid of that punctuation. You got a comma splice here. You have the cognitive, but not the most important symptom. Don't ever say that about a symptom. If you wrote about it, it's important. So don't ever say that it's not important. So you just repeat the statistic from the beginning, which doesn't do much for your argument. Just makes the reader think you don't have much to say. So obviously you want to fix that. Works cited page is pretty much all wrong. You have the bulk of what you need. You have a space issue here. You have that. There should be a period. Then you should have this. Then you should have a date before you get into the actual website. Remember, any line after the first needs to be indented. So that needs indented, that needs indented, that needs indented, that needs indented, all the way down. And again, when you use those, you're saying I'm using these in the paper as well. So Jessica got a lot of work to do to get this up to par. So hopefully you can have some time to work on that rewrite and get it back into me. Thanks.